The clone tool allows you to draw with the texture from one place on the screen to another place on the screen. For example, let's say I wanted to draw with grass over here on the driveway. Not that you'd want to do that, but you can. And let me show you how it's done. First of all, to access the clone tool, we would go up here to the clone tool in the menu, or you could go to area and go to clone. The clone tool has many brush sizes. The large ones are at the bottom and they alternate between round and square, and as you scroll up towards the top they get smaller. So we're going to pick the large square here by clicking on it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click with my mouse right here on the base of this tree. So the first square stays there, and then I'm going to move my mouse so that I'm now going to be drawing over here, and then I left click my mouse and I drag my mouse up, watching what's going on over on the right where I right clicked, and as you can see I'm drawing the trunk of that tree. Now I want some grass, so everything that's over here on the right side of the screen is being drawn over on the left side of the screen. Now you notice that when I went off the screen it draws with black because there is nothing there, it just gives you black. So don't draw off the screen. If you do that by accident, you can always hit undo and start over. So let's show you a practical way to use the clone tool. So I'm going to cancel out of here. The main thing that you would use the clone tool for is to remove objects or things in the picture that you don't want. For example, I want to remove this basketball hoop from the driveway here. So I'm going to use the clone tool to do it. First thing I want to do is I'm going to zoom in by pressing F10 on the keyboard, holding my mouse over the basketball hoop. It will zoom into that area. Now I'm going to go up here to the clone tool. I have the large square brush. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click here, basically saying I want to draw with a little piece of the roofing and some stucco here. Then I move my mouse so that my squares are lined up, because when you're doing something like the roofing, that's a straight line there, you want to make sure that you keep that straight line. So if your brushes are off, meaning offset like this, it's just not going to work. Well, let's do it and show you what I mean. So my brushes are not aligned. I'm going to left click and draw across the screen, and you can see that's not exactly going to work. So let's undo that. And again, I'm going to reset this brush here by right clicking with my mouse right here, and then I'm going to left click. By the way, when you see the blue circles coming out of the clicking, that means it's a right click, and the red circles are left clicking. So now again, let's line it up, left click, and then I drag my mouse across, and you can see it's removing the basketball hoop. Again, I go down here where I have the shingles, and because my two squares are lined up, it's allowing me to just remove this fairly quick. Now you could, if you look closely and you want to be picky, you could see that because I didn't line it up exactly, these squares or rectangles in the garage are not the same size. Trust me on this, most of the time no one's going to notice. So if I click OK, because now I'm done using the clone tool, and I zoom out by pressing F9, when you're zoomed out you really don't notice that. But if you want to be picky, you can zoom in and redo it. It's not a problem, it's always up to you. So that's one way to use the clone tool. Okay, I want to show you another little trick here. Let's say, for example, we want to move the palm tree out of this picture. You could go in here to the clone tool. Let's bring it back on the screen, get the large brush, and I'm going to right click up here to start drawing with the sky, and then I will just clone this down. Now you notice that it doesn't look too good. Usually that's because the sky is never the same color at the top as it is in the bottom. You can see it's a lighter blue down here and a darker blue at the top. So if you start at the top and you draw down, you're going to be drawing with a darker blue of the sky into a lighter area. It just doesn't work too well. So what you would do is you would go in here, and we're going to right click here, and then we're going to bring the mouse over here to the left, and keeping a gap between the brushes, because what you don't want to do is clone the clone. Meaning if I made the gap, well, let's just do it real quick. If I make the gap too close and I start bringing this across, what I'm doing is I'm cloning an area of sky that I've already cloned, so it's cloning the clone. So let's undo that. I'm going to right click out here, make sure they're fairly equal, and then click and drag it across to remove this palm tree. And as you can see, it's just about the right distance because I'm not cloning on a clone. It stops cloning when it gets to the edge of this tree. And let's click OK and zoom out. And as you can see, you'll never know that palm tree was there.